Joseph Stalin grew up poor and an only child who had to rise to power. He was an only child raised by an alcoholic dad who beat him. His dad was a shoemaker and his mom was a laundress. He grew up in Gori, Georgia. His birth name is Joseph Vissarionovich Dujashvili, and he was born on December 1878. He later changed his birthday to December 21st. He also changed his name to Stalin, which means man of steel. As a teen, he studied at Georgian Orthodox Church on a scholarship, where he discovered a book called Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx, which he secretly read. Stalin was interested in the revolution against monarchy. He was later expelled for missing exams, but he claims it was for Marxist propaganda. After school, he became an underground agitator, where he participated in demonstrations and labor strikes. He also joined the Bolsheviks. He later became involved in various criminal activities like bank robberies to help make money for the Bolshevik Party. He was sentenced to prison and exile in Siberia. Lenin appointed Joseph Stalin to serve on the first Central Committee of the Bolshevik Party when he returned from Siberia. 3 years later, in November 1917, the Bolsheviks seized power in Russia. Stalin became Secretary General of the Central Committee of the Communist Party. It allowed him to appoint his allies to government jobs and gain political support. When Lenin died, his carefully placed allies allowed him to become dictator, and he became dictator of the Soviet Union by the 1920s.
When Stalin came to power, he turned the Soviet Union into a totalitarian state, controlling all aspects of citizen lives. Stalin's economic policies called for government leaders to make all economic decisions. Stalin took charge by creating an industrial revolution and agricultural revolution. In the late 1920s, he launched several five-year plans meant to develop the economy. In the plans were unrealistic targets, which in order to meet, the government had to cut down the production of consumer goods, which led to severe shortages of food, shelter, and basic necessities, ultimately causing famine across the Soviet Union, killing millions. Stalin was particularly paranoid that everyone was out to get him and take him from power, so much so that Stalin eliminated anyone who opposed him or his beliefs. To do so, he expanded the secret police, who monitored everything, listening for those who opposed Stalin. The secret police also planted informants everywhere. Some informants were even children who were told to listen to things said within their own households. The secret police killed millions and arrested millions of people they believed to be traitors. In the later part of the 1930s, Stalin created the Great Purge to go against members of the Communist Party. The Great Purge were campaigns of terror launched to rid anyone that threatened Stalin. Thousands of people were executed and people were arrested for the most minor acts, and the police themselves were even punished if they did not arrest enough people. In Stalin's totalitarian state, he glorified himself, having newspapers, radio networks glorify everything he did. Stalin also used art to glorify himself, having artists paint him as a subject of flattering pieces of work, as well as using literature and music to build up his appearance to the public.
Today, Joseph Stalin is remembered as the man who helped save his nation from Nazi domination. He is also remembered as the mass murderer of the century, allowing the deaths of 8 to 10 million of his own people. The base for Stalin's extreme dictatorship was his position of being the Secretary General of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. He had this position from 1922 until his death in 1953. Joseph Stalin died at the age of 74 due to a stroke. Even when he was approaching his death, Stalin's aides continued to carry out his murderous orders.
Joseph Stalin was a man who stuck to his beliefs and did not care about what he had to do to get the message across. Even though Stalin grew up in a heavily religious family and even was pushed by his mother to pursue a path to priesthood, he was actually later confirmed an atheist. This is no surprise, as most communists believed in that religion was detrimental to society. Stalin was also a die-hard Marxist. The Communist Manifesto was what made him abandon preschool to take part in the underground political scene. Besides, he was an atheist anyways.
Well, I got over a minute.
Besides, he was an atheist anyways, Stalin believed that the Soviet Union lacked proper industrialization. He set up several plans in which he planned to rapidly increase the industrialization. This was fantastic, except for the part where he enforced his plan with violence. He also used propaganda to hide the truth, making people perceive him as a friendly man. Stalin did not regard human life, as he killed anyone who disagreed with his beliefs.